Well, good evening, and thank you for joining us as we present this webinar, Clipped, Powering College Golf with Game-Changing Insights. I also want to thank our friends at the Carolinas PGA section for sending the invitation to their members and the members of their junior tournament program. My name is John Boykin, and I'm the Senior PGA Professional for Clipped. If your goal is to play college golf, you need to know about Clipped and why this remarkable technology is being used by more than 180 men's and women's college golf programs across the country. That's a number that's going to grow to more than 250 this fall. Joining me this evening on the webinar is Jeff Hall, head women's golf coach at Furman University. Now in his 9th season as head coach, Jeff has been named 3 times as Southern Conference Golf Coach of the Year. We'll be hearing from Jeff throughout the program. What is Clip? Clip is an AI-driven performance app that's used by the best college programs and players. It tracks your entire game, every golf shot on the course and every shot in your practice sessions. The result is a totally data-driven, objective view of your entire game. A college golf coach using Clip loves the phrase, "Why guess when you can measure?" Clip reveals your superpowers. It shows you what you do best when you play well, shows your strengths, and highlights your weaknesses. With Clip, you get a true assessment. We call it the real versus feel. Clip's What to Work On is a unique priority list for your game, providing personalized practice plans, resulting in purposeful practice, making your time more efficient, and you get better faster. I want to share a little bit with you about Clip's impact on college golf for just the past 2 seasons. In 2023 and 2024 season alone, Clip had 101 team tournament wins, including Stanford women's team winning the NCAA championship, this following Wake Forest women's team winning the 23 national championship in their first year using Clip. It includes Seattle women's team winning their first conference championship amongst many other success stories. Clip college players won 125 individual championships, including Hiroshi Tai of Georgia Tech, winning the men's NCAA individual trophy, and Lottie Woad winning the 2024 Augusta National Women's Invitational. Georgia Tech was the first college program to use Clip. Head coach Bruce Hepler, winner of 19 conference championships in 29 years, immediately saw the benefits of his players using Clip. In their first season partnering with Clip, Georgia Tech won the ACC championship, won the NCAA regional with a record score, and made it to the NCAA men's finals. Clip showed Christo Lamprecht what he needed to take his game to becoming a champion. Christo was unaware of his wedge play's impact on his scoring. He altered his practice focus. As a result, he won the 2023 British Amateur and became the #1 ranked amateur in the world. Here's a quote from Rachel Keene, member of that 2023 Wake Forest National Championship team, about Clip's impact on the value of collecting data stats. Coach Hall, thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm good, John. Thanks for having me on here.
Jeff, can you comment on the importance of collecting stats, data by aspiring college golfers? You know, you're known to be very data-driven. How does Clip align with your philosophy?
Well, I'll have to apologize here. We've been driving all day, and it's just now starting to pour. So if you're hearing some rain, I apologize for that. I think that the importance of the analytics, goes back to even before we had it. We tried to keep our own stats, and the way that they collect the data, and they make the strokes gained just a lot easier to understand, and it does allow the players, to create their own practice session when we're not available.
So what makes clip so easy to understand and embrace? We call it the language of clip. Every shot you hit, both on the golf course and in practice, it's accurate. Clip assigns a shot quality score to every golf shot. Shot quality considers the factors that influence the results of a golf shot: the weather, course conditions, course difficulty. It's aspirational. You can compare your shot quality numbers to those of tour players, college golfers, and even those you currently compete against. Clip's insightful. It analyzes your data and shares truths about your game, shows trends both upward and down. Jeff, you're a very good player. While a member of the Georgia PGA section, you won the PGA Section Championship, the Georgia Open, and was named Section Player of the Year in 2007. How do you use Clip in your own game, and how do you see it being used by some of the better professional players that you still know?
I wish I used it more. We spend so much time with our players, but I enjoy going out and using it to do the drills that are on there. Those are outstanding. I also like when we do go play, I do plug in the rounds, and it is good because you can immediately and see really what was good. And I think too many times as players, we get blinded by what we feel good about instead of what actually was. And I know some professionals who are using it. Anna Morgan, for example, is not a professional yet, but she's been continuing to use it after college. And it just makes a huge difference for them.
I mentioned the language of Clip: shot quality, player quality. It's the core metric that powers all others. And what you see on your screen now is what we call the metrics of Clip: shot quality and player quality. Jeff mentioned strokes gained just a minute ago, and we'll talk more about that a little bit later in the webinar. But we want to make you familiar with this segment of what really defines and what differentiates Clip from everything else in golf technology, golf learning technology especially. So you see on your screen there's 0, 100, and 200. So the AI of Clip assigns a grade, a score, to every golf shot, both on and off the course. That's what we call shot quality. And it uses a scale, as you see here, from 0 to 200. 0 is the worst possible outcome. You tee it up on the first hole and you drive it out of bounds. It has no value whatsoever. All the way up to 200, which is statistical perfection. You make a hole in one on a par 3. You hole it from the fairway for an eagle on a par 4. And what we show here in the middle here, 100 is tour average. So you take a Xander Schauffele right now, his average shot quality and therefore his player quality, which we'll talk about in a moment, is right around 114. And he's clearly one of the best in the world with 2 majors this year. So Jeff mentioned strokes gained. I want to kind of show you the difference in strokes gained and Clip's language of shot quality. Last year in the 2023 British Open, Royal Liverpool's 17th hole, they called Little Eye, was a brand new hole they'd added to the golf course for the championship. And it was quite a bit controversial because while it was a short hole, only about 140 yards, the green was very, very elevated with slopes off each side. So we thought, since people saw that on television, we'd use this as a great example. So here we have a calm day, sunny, no wind, moderate temperatures, again, 140 yards. This player's hit a 9-iron and to a back right pin, hit it 15 feet from the hole. Well, you can see in the lower left of the screen, that's a plus 0.19 strokes gained. It's a shot quality score of 95. So if you remember that 0 to 200 score with tour average being 100, 95 for 140 yards, no conditions, 15 feet is a 95. Well, let's go to the next slide. Same golf hole, same 140 yards, but now we've got 30-mile-an-hour winds, crosswinds. We've got pouring rain, and we've got much cooler temperatures. You'll see the strokes gained still shows this as a plus 0.19 score. and yet clipped shot quality shows it as 124. Jeff, I think you would agree this is a far more difficult shot to execute with that wind and rain to that small target, very elevated, and therefore the result of 124. Have you been able to use the difference in the way shot quality is determined with your players in concert with what they understand about strokes gained?
Yes, every play we will set up the course. We talk about what are the conditions so that everybody's kind of putting in the exact same stats. And I think that's the important part of this because, you know, as you just said, 140-yard shot is not always the same. So yeah, then we're able to show them, you know, hey, that was a much better shot, and hole location can have something to do with it. Firmness of the green can have a lot to do with it. So it does help a lot, and it helps prepare them to how to play the hole, knowing that, yeah, it's a 140-yard shot, but you have to play it smartly. And then there's another 140-yard shot you can be much more aggressive on.
So it shows the real differences. So now what we're looking at is what we call the player dashboard. And this is what you would see if you had a clipped account both on a laptop and also on your phone. And what Clip does, it breaks down 4 elements of your game. The 104 you see in the yellow circle is off the tee. 76 to the right of that is approach play. 87 is around the green, bunker play, chipping, and then certainly the far one to the right is putting. And you can see this player has a player quality score of 91. That's the far left number in the blue. And what that does is Clip takes all of these 4 elements of your game, awards a score to every shot. Again, we call it shot quality, both on and off the golf course. And that rolls up to an average score of the 4 of those, which is your player quality score of 91. So this player is pretty close to being a scratch handicap because he's only a few points below tour average. And when you immediately look at this, you can tell very quickly that he drives the ball exceptionally well, better than tour average. His approach play is pretty, let's just say, middle of the road. His short game, chipping and putting, is again pretty much higher, and he's a really good putter. So Jeff and coaches would be able to look at this immediately and go, okay, well, we know where we need to first take a look about where we dedicate time to practice. As we like to say, get better faster. So this again is one of the features of Clip that is so different from every other data collection opportunity and assessment that coaches can use and players can use. And it's another reason college coaches love it. So Jeff, while at Furman, you've coached many amazing players. You mentioned her earlier, Anna Morgan. Please tell us about Anna and her success on your team.
Well, Anna was just amazing. You know, she's actually competing in the U.S. Amateur currently. She won her match today. And she's got a tough match tomorrow against Kiera Romero. But, you know, Anna set records at Furman. You know, we've been blessed to have we've got 2 world Hall of Famers, and Anna now holds the record of wins in Furman history. I think they had the best single season stroke average, best career stroke average. Just a tremendously talented player, and really what a lot of why she likes Clipped and what she has done with it is actually let see just how good she was in so many areas, especially ball striking. You know, her ball striking was very good, and I think her number, she was in the mid 90s, which for women is very, very good because, you know, strokes gain is, you're going to score better on the men's side just because of shorter clubs from the same distance. But, you know, her ball striking scores were just off the charts, and it allowed her to see that maybe in some putting areas is where she could get better. And that's what she really put her focus on was her putting and her short game. And that's really what took her to a completely different level this year. And she was first team All-American. You know, she played on the Arnold Palmer She's on a very short list for consideration for the Curtis Cup coming up. And it's just a phenomenal player.
And as it shows here, 8-time college collegiate winner, 2024 Southern Conference Player of the Year. I've got a handful of questions here, kind of go through with you, Jeff, regarding Clip. How does Clip build confidence when they use it? How does it build confidence in your players?
I think what it does is it shows it, with the trending, the color trends charts, I think is good. We've got some, the players continue to use it over the summer, and we've got a couple players that, they put stuff on there every day. They're always doing drills. They're always putting their rounds of golf in. And it's great because Mackenzie and I can actually look at how they're doing, and we can send them a text like, hey, that was a great round. We've had a player who really came in, bought into the program, and had 2 of her personal best scores this summer. She had a 68 and then just had a 66. And it really is because they can look at the data, they can see it, and they can see that improvement. They're not guessing if they're getting better. Their scores on the course, how they're performing, their player scores per category, they can see if those are getting better. So, for us, it's an invaluable tool. And for them, even away from college, they can continue working on the same things and still see that improvement. And if they're not seeing the improvement, then they can say, hey, we gotta maybe check in. Let's see if we can figure out why it's not getting better.
So, Jeff, take a moment to talk about your women's team winning back-to-back Southern Conference championships in 2022 and 2023. Your players have said you're great at providing challenging practice drills and are excellent in teaching the short game, or as I call it, the scoring game. Has the data Clip provides impacted those elements of your coaching?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like you said, I've always been into the statistical side of things, and I'm fortunate to have Mackenzie here because she's an incredible short game player as well. So I think between the two of us, we're able to kind of blend the art and science, maybe of the short game, and show them that sometimes it's. I think that the players make it harder on themselves because they think they have to hit everything within 2 or 3 feet, and I love the drills because they have the 6-foot circle, for example, and how many times can you get it inside of that, and then when you're actually playing on the golf course, seeing how that score really reflects, and it allows us to really pinpoint what areas they need to work on, because most people want to practice what they're good at. And so you kind of have to embrace, the hard stuff sometimes to get better. So this really allows us to show them, we need to be better in these areas. And when we really focus on those areas, that's when the players get better. And then obviously the team gets better as well.
Let's touch on recruiting and how Clip will provide help in that process, Jeff. We hear from many coaches that a recruit having a Clip account would be very valuable. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I think it's great, because then it's no different. If we're recruiting a player, obviously we can see scores. Scores are very black and white. But we'll always say, especially what we learned from being with COVID was we don't always have to go out and watch a player. If we can we see what your golf swing looks like? Can we get some TrackMan numbers? Now, can we see your clip data? We can actually go in and look at a player's clip data and say, wow, this player is actually better than what they're producing. And it might be kind of that diamond in the rough player, that we're able to look at and see a lot more about their game than just their scores, which is great, because it's always fun to find that player, who was a little bit under the radar. Anna Morgan, for example, was a little bit under the radar, coming into college, and she's the best player in Furman history. And even before her, Natalie Srinivasan was a little bit under the radar and became the National Player of the Year at Furman. And we didn't have Clipped at the time, but we did very similar things as far as how we collected data and what we were trying to look at. And by her focusing on just two simple areas, she improved her stroke average more than two shots her senior year and became the National Player of the Year. So it's the way that Clip collects the data and then, allows us to see it and the players to see it. It just makes it so much easier, for both sides.
Jeff, one of the things we're finding when we attend some junior tournaments, some high level junior tournaments, that not a high percentage of junior golfers, even elite junior golfers, are collecting their stats, their data. So speak, will you, about those golfers having the goal of playing college golf, the importance of collecting their stats, their data, and how Clipped is in fact leading the way.
Well, I think, that's where, when you talk to recruits and their parents, you could hit 18 greens and shoot 77 because you weren't really inside of 30 feet. And it's very tough to two putt from a long distance. So when somebody says, "Oh, I'm putting bad," I think it's collecting the correct data that's important. So, we could look at a player very quickly and say, well, you don't think you putted very well, but you just didn't hit it very close. And so statistically, as we will see, and even with, the drills, if you hit it 20 to say 40 feet every hole, two putting is very good. And so I hate it when people say, "Oh, you should average 30 putts." Well, not necessarily. It really depends on how close you are. So go down into, the areas of distance and in what you should make. And that's where that player score really comes in. So when you find these areas where you're not have a very high player score, those are, what they call the low hanging fruit. Those are the areas that you can work on, get better, and it really helps your game. You get up level, those are a little harder to find, but they're still available, because of the way Flip collects the data.
Well, every golfer is different, and Clipped identifies your golfer DNA, your unique DNA. It identifies your game's elements that most impact the ability to score. Helps coaches like Jeff to create personalized practice plans. Here we see the data for 4 golfers, including on the far left, reigning Olympic men's gold medal winner Scotty Scheffler, showing what we often hear. When he putts well, he scores well. This is just a part of the Clip platform that we call What to Work On, that provides the importance of scoring segments of your game. And you can see in Scotty's case right there that 35% of his successful scoring is based on his putting. Well, we kind of know that, but it's great to confirm that. So, Jeff, if you could talk about with our audience the significance of what to work on, the what to work on feature Clip, and how you use it with your players.
Yeah, John. I think always feature, and it's always you kind of have to know how to use it well, because there's areas that are important, but it may not be relevant to your game. For example, I always talk about bunkers, and nobody, very rarely do people have a very high score in bunkers. So yes, you can improve it. It's a high level of improvement ability, but it's not very important to your game, because you might only be in, say, 2 bunkers per round. Whereas, a 10-foot putt, you might not be able to improve it as much as, say, a bunker shot, but it is way more important to your game. So just understanding, how to use that feature really makes it easy. Another area that we look at a lot is, because of distance, women scoring with the off the tee club isn't always as high. And again, Crypt has been great. They've been giving us data as to, what are good scores for different types of players. So even though a player may not have a great off the tee score, that's probably not going to improve their game the most. So just understanding how that piece of it works really makes the practice planning easier. It allows the players to focus better, and it is very unique. And again, if you don't understand stats, it's a great introduction into proper data collection and then how to actually use the stats the correct way.
So college golf coaches from across the country asked Clip to create an easier to use process for entering rounds of golf, the golf data for their players. Clip answered the call. The result was what we call Clip Capture. This feature allows players to use their phone to enter their every golf shot result for an 18-hole round. It takes about 5 to 7 minutes. It's become wildly popular with the college golfers. Jeff, how long does it typically take for you to ingrain good stats collecting habits into your athletes? And what are the best ways, in your opinion, to introduce junior players to stats?
We actually have our players starting to come in at the end of next week. We'll get everybody together and we'll have our own, kind of first welcome to the team kind of meeting, and we'll go over, that. And then after our first few qualifying rounds, we'll sit as a group and we'll go over the stat entry. Some coaches will allow their players to have their phones, on the golf course to put in stats. Some players don't. Some tournaments don't allow you to use a phone for data collection. So, they have a sheet that you can print out and put the things in. I kind of like that better. I don't really like having that phone there all the time. But it's when you do put it in, it's just knowing how to collect all the data, so not just did you have a 5-foot putt, but was it uphill or downhill? Did it break right or left? And then the speed of the green really makes a difference. And that's where you get those really unique scores. So if you have a 10-foot putt that's on a really fast green on a really severe slope and you make it, that's obviously a really good putt. Even if you don't make it, put it up pretty close, you're going to get a pretty good score on it. So under, the course conditions, and how to really collect the data properly. Once you get it, it really only takes, like you said, 5 to 10 minutes. And once they get used to it, they do it very quickly. And it's always best to do it as soon as you can while it's still fresh in your mind.
Thanks, Jeff. Well, we've talked a lot about Clip's success in the college space. Clip is very happy to announce that the NCAA has partnered with Clip, approached Clip last fall, and asked Clip to use their software to do all the live scoring for college golf tournaments at all levels, Division I, II, and III in the NCAA. And that's resulted in a long-term contract for Clip as their partner to provide not only live scoring for tournaments, but also the posting of team and individual rankings. And in addition to that, the National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics, the NAIA, and the National Junior College Athletic Association golf programs have also entered into agreements with Clip to provide that live scoring. It's just further validation of how Clip has just taken the college space by storm, and has been incredibly successful, and that success will continue to grow. So we just wanted to point that out about those relationships and the significance of them. Now we want to share with you what's the best way for you to get started with Clip. It's really important, as Jeff alluded to, that to begin collecting your data, your stats early on. And if your goal is to play college golf, it's essential because we're finding out that Jeff, along with a lot of other college coaches, an early question is, can you share your data? Can you share your stats? So we have this opportunity for those of you on the webinar. You can scan the QR code you see there. That will open up for you the opportunity to have a free 30-day trial at 25% off the Clipped annual subscription price. The normal price is $240. The 25% off is $180 for a 1-year subscription. And we have this special discount for those of you on the webinar. So again, you can take a moment to scan the QR code you see, but also to the email that you receive inviting you to come to be on this webinar. That included a link for you to also receive that free 30-day trial. Get a chance to look at it, play around with it, learn how to use clip capture and how to take a real look at the DNA of your golf game, and receive that 25% discount or $180 for a 1-year subscription to Clip, less than the cost of a new wedge. You'll get a much better view of your entire game. As we say, the real, not the feel. Why guess when you can measure? So again, let's take a moment to look at that if you'd like to use that, or you can actually use the link in the email you got that invited you to this webinar. So now, Jeff, we're going to take some questions from our audience. If you have a question, you can see the Q&A bar on the screen. If you'll just click on that and type in your question, we'll be happy to take them. Okay, we have one here, Jeff. Question is, are there additional ways to enter your golf rounds into Clip? And I'll start that answer, Jeff, and then I'll ask for your opinion on it. Clip has partnerships with Arcos grips, Arcos sensors to enter data. We're able to take TrackMan data from the TrackMan combines and the sessions that Jeff and coaches use with their players. We're in the process of creating another 29 or 30 partnerships with data that will flow right into your Clipped account. So, Jeff, I know that you're able to use some TrackMan data into your players' accounts and see that. What are your thoughts on the various ways to do that?
You know, John, we haven't gone that far into that part of it yet, but it is a great feature, and I think it's great because what we've been able to do is be able to share with, say, our players' teachers, so that when they're away from home, you know, their teacher can see their round of golf, and then I can actually talk to their teacher and say, look, this is what you may be working on, but this is what we see. And then they can actually see it. You can share video on the platform, which is great as well. And so there's all kinds of ways, you know, to put the data, you know, to collect the data. But ultimately, you know, when you're playing golf, the best way to do it is just, you know, manually put it in, because you're the one who knows what you did. You knew where you were, you knew the conditions, and that's still the best way to do it. I also wanted to kind of piggyback on what you said, John, about, you know, the relationship that they have with the NCAA. I was fortunate this year because I was the chairman of the awards committee. I got to kind of work behind the scenes with Clip and was able to collaborate on some things. And probably the absolute greatest thing about Clipped is the people that work for them and how they actually want to make it the very best it can be. And they're very open to new ideas, changing things when they have to. So this is a process that's only going to keep getting better. And I know you mentioned the money, and I know that money is always important when you're talking about, you know, clubs and balls and all that. But I think this is one of those things that this is like a no-brainer because it's just so important, so that every player understands how to collect that data and use it properly.
Thanks, Jeff. And you just touched on this. So we've got another question here that we get in every one of these is, how are coaches able to see my child's data? Is it publicly available? Well, first of all, Clipped is very, very sensitive to and aware of the privacy issues of an individual's data and what their golf games look like. And as Jeff said, to their swing coaches at home. So within your settings, you're able to determine who can see your data. You control that. It's your Clipped account. If you want a coach that you would like to go play for their college team, If you're a young woman golfer and you'd like to go play at Furman University for a very successful program and you have a Clipped account, you can choose to add Coach Hall or Coach McKenzie to your account and for them to see your data. You certainly can have your swing coach. You can have other people, your parents, however you want to put the list together, you have that option. So you, in fact, control who gets to see your data within your settings. See, we have one more question here. You mentioned practice a few times. Is there some off-course functionality to Clip? Jeff, you basically touched on that, but if you'd comment again that there are any number of ways with drills and opportunities for these personalized practice programs, and how do you structure those through Clip?
Yeah, they've got some wonderful, drills in the system, and our players will go in and they'll just pick them, and do those. And again, you get scored on those just like you do if you play golf. So they're fantastic, and I know they're going to continue to add new drills. They've actually, they ask coaches for drills that we have maybe created ourselves or that we use, so that they can start putting those in as well. I've actually got, some players that will do a drill that's not in Clip, but they'll put it in, and they may not get a score for it, but at least, we can see it, which is great. So those drills that are in the system are outstanding, and they give great feedback, and they are very realistic. They're not just your basic, straight putt drill, or they're very much real life situations.
Well, thank you, Jeff. I want to allow everyone just another moment or two, if you still have not scanned the QR code to give you the opportunity to get that free 30-day trial. And at the end of that 30-day trial, you'll have the opportunity to get the 25% off annual subscription price, or $180 for the first year. Coach Jeff Hall of Furman University, thank you so much for your very busy travel schedule. I know you were in Nashville recruiting, so thanks for taking the time to join us this evening. Thanks again to the Carolinas PGA section. Clipped is a very proud sponsoring partner of the Carolinas PGA section, among some other sections around the country. And thank you again to our great friends at the Carolinas PGA for making this available to the junior members of their tour. And to all of you that attended, thank you so much for taking your time. Enjoy the rest of your summer and a lot of golf success this fall. With that, we'll say good evening. Thank you so much.